Yep, these are really bright, by the way. Nice. Yeah, like, even Adam says, like, that the collapse of this matrix and the subway system areas happened, like, somewhat very recently. So, like, it's not at the start of, like, the E protocol deployments, because that would be, like, a good 30 to, like, 40 years ago, when the first Eve deployment happened, you know? So, if that is, like, you know, very recently for Adam and the other people in here, I don't think that's the case, yeah. Very recently would probably, like, mean somewhat, like, recently for Eve as well, because Eve also... Like, you have to take into account when somebody says something like that, you have to take into account who they are saying it to as well. So, like, if somebody like Adam says that something like that happened very recently, it has to also feel, like, somewhat, like, understandable, or it has to be somewhat, like... What is the word? It has to be, like, somewhat understandable in the relation for the person who was listening to the other person say that as well. You know? It's kind of like, if you say something that the other person cannot, like, relate to at all when it comes to, like, their own life or their own existence to that point, then you're just making it incredibly impossible for the other person to try to understand what you just said, you know? Because they can't really, like... They can't really, like, understand it so much. So you change your messaging, particularly when it comes to, like, how long amount of time something is, depending on, you know, who you say it to, you know? Like, if Adam was talking to, like, say, Mother Sphere, for example, and then she says, like, this happened, like, a short while ago or something, you know? For Mother Sphere and Adam's timeline, you know, seeing as they have both been alive for, you know, 150 or more years or so, it's more understandable that they would understand it as, like, you know, maybe like 30 years ago or something like that. Maybe it would be, you know, Adam's, like, you know, a short while ago. But for somebody like Eve, like our Eve, who Adam himself either believes to be... Like, there's two ways he can go about this. And I think I know the answer to it as well. The first way is that Adam knows that the E prototypes and the E protocol members are, like, of certain specific age. That does not, what is the word? It does not fit their outward appearance, how old they actually are, you know? That's the one way he can go about it, which is the way that I understand that he knows about it. You know? So he knows that despite our, you know, enhanced human here being the age that she is, you know, our Eve prototype, like, he himself knows that the E prototype, well, our E prototype with the memories, the personality, and the psyche that our Eve encompasses is likely significantly younger than, you know, like a female on their 20s or something, you know, of course. Like, Adam would think about that because he himself has created, like, protocol members or, like, angels himself, you know, Rail, Shale, and Quill, you know. So, like, he himself would know that. And he was also, you know, a forerunner, or should I say, he was also a railblazer in this technology, I suppose, same way as Mother Sphere when they were still working together, of course. So we have to take that into account as well. Like, he most likely himself designed, along with Mother Sphere, the very first, you know, enhanced humans, you know, that they themselves started to enhance into different directions. So he himself would likely understand that he's talking to somebody who is actually, like, very young, you know? So when he says that a short while ago to our Eve, it very likely means that short while ago meaning a few years maybe. And then this tragedy happened in this place. But yeah, that's like a very long and drawn out way to try to explain that, you know? Of course Adam is not gonna say the line again, right?
A close one. Too focused on treasure.
Are you being serious? So all I needed to do on all of these playthroughs is not get hit by the train. Dude, you know how little sense that makes? On the only playthrough on PS5 where I got this dialogue was the single playthrough where I got killed by the train and picked up the treasure. So that's how you reproduce it. Maybe. So you dodge the train and you don't die to the treasure, but you don't pick up the treasure either. Okay, game. I see your nonsensical ways.